last night I'm laying my head down on the pillow, and it had been a day. We had traveled to be part with the family for a funeral. Ben's aunt, bless her.
I'm sorry.
Precious.
Yeah.
Thank you. Precious, precious. 86 years old. And it was kind of one of those people that was the glue of the family. Her presence not here anymore, you will feel that.
Yeah.
Every family, especially her immediate family. So she was Ben's aunt. We didn't have the benefit necessarily because through the years, everybody grows and kind of goes their own separate ways. But her immediate family, wow, it is going to leave a hole for them that they will have to, figure out the new normal. So that was part of the day. I had basically 3 friends on my mind that were all going through really difficult things in their own lives, and then what they share with me, some of the stuff they just want to talk.
Sure.
And I will pick it up just because I care.
Yeah.
Other things I think sometimes we want our friends to carry for us, and whether we mean to or not, we give that. But whatever the combination is, they were on my heart. And then we've got this vehicle issue that is
Car problems?
pretty much breathtaking.
That's not good.
No. So all of this, you
Yeah.
know, and again, they're not super like catastrophic diagnoses or anything. Well, one family member has that, so that's on my mind. Anyway, all that to say, I laid my head down at night and I realized that my heart is racing. I have all these things on my mind, and I'm like, Lord, some of it, I need to know what you want us to do. Others, I need to know how I am to be available to friends and family without carrying the things I'm not supposed to.
Yeah.
Show up where I'm supposed, not take offense if that happens to be involved in some of the conversations. What, Lord, do I do with all this? And what I found myself doing as I was talking to him was, okay, Lord, I need to breathe. Like, I need this anxiousness in my heart to go away.
Yeah.
So I go to sleep. I was tired.
Sure.
So I started the breathing thing we've talked about before, like where you're breathing in and you hold it and you exhale, singing my I surrender all to the Lord. And the next thing I know, I was like, okay, it's not working. And then I'm asleep.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you got to sleep.
Me too.
But yeah.
Me too. But the questions still remain in the morning. Thankfully,
Sure.
I had a good night's sleep. The Lord was so gracious in that. And I wake up and I'm like, okay, Lord, it's a new day. Your mercies are new today. I do want to follow you in all these things. What does that look like? Because I start wanting to problem solve.
Yeah.
And do it. Now, I don't want to do it in my own strength. I just want to do it in my own time.
Interesting. Not in your own strength, but in your own time.
Yes.
Meaning I want it solved in my own time, like now.
Today would be fine.
Like today would be good.
Yeah.
Sometime in the next 5 minutes would be acceptable. 3 minutes would be even better.
I think the messiness of life is one thing, but the messiness of life that has to go on for a long time,
That is
that's
a
where
challenge.
I want to tuck and run.
Yeah. No, I get that, because a lot of times if we know that there is a finish line to whatever we're facing, we can endure.
Sure.
Because I know the finish line is coming. I can see it. I can grit my teeth and I can hold on and make it across that finish line.
Yeah.
But when we don't see a finish line, that I think is really, really hard to be able to have the mindset that we want to have, the mind of Christ, and to be able to walk through whatever it is that we're going through well. That's tough. And I think you in a very good way, articulated a lot of that challenge of saying, all right, what is mine to carry and what is not?
Yep.
How can I be a support and carry the appropriate amount of weight? Lord, help me not pick up what's not mine to pick up.
Sure.
But let me show the love of Christ to these people who are wrestling through these different things. I think a lot of us may have different circumstances that are driving that, but we've wrestled with some of those same questions. And man, it's messy.
It is
And I don't know that we
messy.
ever really
It's so
figure it out
messy.
super well this side of eternity.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those things that we can maybe get a little bit better at saying, Lord, this isn't mine to pick up, and the discernment of what's ours and what's not, and being able to. You've used this phrase before in podcasts we've done, being able to cast our cares and anxiety on Him and to keep casting, and hopefully maybe cultivate the ability to say, all right, I'm going to cast, and I'm going to not pick that thing up. I'm going to leave that there for you to deal with. But again, that's hard.
It's hard. Also, in the mix of that is if there's like if I've done something to harm or to hurt in my own part of the story, to recognize that, to repent of that, to apologize if it's something that needs an apology, and walk in that. I just find that the difficulty long term is the biggest challenge for me because I'm a fixer. And I don't think I'm alone in this.
Oh, no.
I don't think I'm alone.
A lot of us want to be fixers and wrestle with that.
I was talking, so in this whole day of yesterday, I was talking to someone that I just love dearly, going through horrific circumstances, just awful. I had said something that I think hurt her feelings. Didn't mean to at all, but still, that's how I think it came across. And of course, we were texting, that's
always messier.
So I picked up the phone and I went outside the church and I called her and I just said, hey, like that was not meant. It was to do with sickness and illness and all the things. That was not meant to hurt you. I'm just asking questions, and it happened to come across in text. So I was afraid that maybe it was getting lost in translation. And she said, no, I'm not hurt. I'm not. I knew she was.
Yeah.
I've known her for years and years and years. So I knew that I had stepped in a place that it was painful. And I just said, I'm really sorry. Like, that was not my intent. I just wanted to have this conversation. So we kept talking, and we were talking about some of the circumstances that they are enduring. And I just kept thinking, Lord, it literally is something almost new every day. That's very difficult and challenging. And I found myself interceding, but when I'm listening, I want to fix it.
Sure.
I want to do something that will just alleviate the pain for a minute. And one of the things will never be alleviated because it's a grief that's so deep. It was the loss of a loved one and young. And like the grief is so deep, it goes to the bone. And I kept thinking of David when he was lamenting over sons, whether it be the baby that he lost or Absalom down the road. Like, I kept thinking of that guttural grief that comes out, and I just wanted to fix it. And I can't.
You can't, right?
I can't.
Yeah. And I think there's almost like a double-edged sword with that.
Yeah.
One is there is an element of freedom that could be ours if we can get to the point of accepting I can't fix it.
Sure.
Like, I can't fix it. So for me to try and continue to try and fix this thing is only going to lead to frustration and futility and possibly anger and bitterness. So
that's wise.
Being able to just simply accept I can't fix it is a big thing. And there's the hope of I can't fix it, but God, I know you can.
Yes.
And God, I know you're sovereign. And the sovereignty of God is one of those things that I don't really grasp. I don't know that this little infinite mind
never will
can grasp, this finite mind can grasp an infinite God.
Yeah.
I can't get that.
Right.
Don't understand him. But I think there's a peace that comes with that as well, because if I could understand him, he wouldn't be God.
True.
And so, all right, God, I don't know why you're allowing this to happen. I don't know what good you're going to do through this. I don't know why I'm continuing to suffer, or those people I love continue to suffer, or why the situation can't improve or be fixed. But I'm choosing to believe that you are good and you are sovereign and you are going to use this for good and glory in some way. But man, there's a wrestling, I think, in the acceptance of his sovereignty.
Yes. Yes. That is really, really, it's something that you have to slow down to think about.
Yeah.
the acceptance of his sovereignty, and realize, like, I still picture myself having this conversation yesterday, because you also have to realize that when you're trying to understand even the corner of his sovereignty, you only can see it in almost like a thumbnail. It's we're so locked into our experience in our real time,
Sure.
what's going on right now, and to even expand our faith to say, Lord, you're looking at the big picture, absolutely big picture, not just big picture of my life, big picture of the
The world.
world. And we just are part it in a significant way, because he's gave his life for us to have faith in him. But we're a part of this. It doesn't center around us. And so when I'm looking at my little thumbnail and trying to understand his sovereignty, and trying to be there for friends, and knowing I've hurt friends, and like processing all of that to continue to trust him and ask, how do I live this well, Lord, for your
Mm.
honor? And if I'm honest, like, and for peace,
Sure.
the peace that only he can give. And so I started out yesterday asking him, Lord, as we go into this situation where there's a funeral and the loss of a loved one, will you just allow us to bring your peace?
Mm.
Like, just because we're all together, right? And the power of presence for one another. And that was really special. But then I was telling one of my friends, I'm like, yeah. And the first thing I did was offend so and so, and, probably irk the other person. And I'm like, okay, Lord, so much for my prayer of peace. And it wasn't my peace I wanted to bring anyway, it was his. But I
Yeah.
felt like I was the agent of disturbance. Um, that sounds even funny to say, but I just felt like, did I represent you well? Sometimes I just feel like I want to keep my mouth completely shut, say no more words, and that way you can't be misunderstood. You can't say the wrong thing. That tension of both what's received and what you intended.
Yeah.
Um, but then I had to walk away from the end of the day and just say, Lord, no matter what, please continue to allow me to learn more of you, be surrendered to you, and know that sometimes I'm really trying to do what only you can do, but with good intentions, doing it in my own strength.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like you're splitting a hair there, because you know that you want to do it his way, but all of a sudden you feel like, oh man, I took over.
Yeah. And just this morning, I was reading about the tension of the gifts that God gives us often require action on our part too. And so, sitting in that tension of God has given us his spirit, he's given us
Yes.
the mind of Christ. If we have spent time in his word, we know his word, and that is in us and can come out of us. And we can relax in a massive way in the fact that we know that he is in control and sovereign over all things. And this is a gift that is ours because we're told that in his word. And yet, sometimes I need you to step forward in faith.
Sure.
And faith not in your own ability, but faith in me. And where I was reading is when the Israelites were on the edge of the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
And Moses is addressing them in Deuteronomy chapter 1. And he's reminding them of what took them to the point that they were at that point. He's talking to them, how God took them out of Egypt, but yet disobedience and all that has led to them wandering the wilderness. And, these are his last words, and he's wanting to encourage them. And one of the things that, I was reminded of as I was reading that is that God had promised this gift to Israel.
Yes.
He said, this land is yours, a land flowing with milk and honey, and you're going to have to go fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the tension of this is yours, and you're going to have to go fight for it. However, and there's the big however, it's really not you who's going to be doing the fighting.
Right.
I'm going to be doing the fighting.
You're showing up
on your behalf. So I need you exactly to show up, to walk around the walls 7 times when it doesn't make sense, to take that massive, potentially massive army that was accumulated and whittle that down to about 300.
Mhm.
To
That's crazy.
follow my battle plan
Yes.
when there's 185,000 and you're just a handful, to trust that I'm going to take them out.
Mhm.
But you're going to do it according to my plan. And so just that I was reminded again of the fact that many of these things that God has given to us are ours. We just need to, number one, believe that they're ours,
Yes.
and trust that God will fulfill that promise. But he's going to do it in his way, his time. And that's the part that I want. I don't like. Like, there were times where things went sideways and bad for Israel because they're like, okay, God made this promise. I'm going to do it my way.
Exactly.
Right.
What I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah. And so I find that, like you, such a tension
Mhm.
to say, all right, God, I want to show up, want to be encouraging, want to bring unity, want to help, want to do these things. But I tend to default to my own logic, my own reasoning,
Or the fixing.
or the fixing. Exactly. Well, if we do this, this could be fixed.
Yes.
If we do that, your pain can be alleviated.
Mhm.
If you would allow me to do this, or if I can say this just right, maybe I can bring some comfort to this person. And sometimes we get that wrong.
We do. And other times then I also think, well, then Lord, if that was such a disaster, if my words landed incorrectly, if the intention is to be there for one another and not let one conversation define the rest of it. And that's the other side of all of this, is I still grieve a friendship that I left. And I can go hindsight and go, why did you do that? And I know it was my own uncomfortableness. It was my own lack of wisdom in knowing how to stay in there. Yeah, all the things that I just was like, I don't know what to do, so run away. And I still like, and yes, I have tried to reach out. Yes,
Yeah.
I have. I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of my weaknesses, at least the ones that I am aware of. I think there's probably more, and I'm also aware of that flight thing. Like, I thought it was just for a long time a weakness that I had in my flesh, but fight, flight.
Right.
If I don't know how to fight, then I'm going to flee, and I don't want to do that this time around.
Yeah.
With all the different relationships that I have, when they get difficult, I don't want to, like I said a minute ago, tuck tail and run. Like,
Yeah.
I want to hang in there because people have hung in there for me, and the Lord asks us to stay in the difficulty with one another and learning how to forgive, be forgiven.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're the one that's caused the offense, and you've got to go and humble yourself and make that apology and hope that you're heard. Because that's a thing too. Sometimes you apologize and people don't hear you.
Yeah.
Or they still hold it over your head. And it's like, how do you continue? And I do think there's probably times where a relationship has to go its separate ways, but not until, as far as it depends on you, live in
Right.
peace with one another, as the scriptures are teaching us to do. So, yeah, it was just a really interesting, and I wake up this morning and I still have no answers.
Sure. But you said something a little while back that I think is key.
Tuck tail and run?
Nope.
Oh.
Keep talking to God. As you were
yeah.
talking with him and praying,
Yes.
these were the things that were on your mind and that you were praying about.
Mhm.
And I think that's huge because you may not be able to fix it.
Right.
You maybe have even, in a sense, potentially, hurt that friend. But, God can't fix it and God can't redeem. And as you said, as far as it depends on you, you've done that. And so I
Yes.
think there's a freedom that can come from, all right, God, I don't know what, I can do, but I want to be available to be used by you. If I can do that, Show me how.
Yes. Oh,
And
yes.
if I can't say anything to them, I can still pray
Mhm.
for them. And I know you're doing that.
And his spirit, like that's the thing. Like you also have to go, okay, Lord, but your spirit is at work here, and I can't forget that.
Yeah.
Even in the messiness and the uncomfortableness of it all, I have to back up and rest and know that even when I can mess things up and I can royally, or things are just a mess in general, like the Lord is still at work.
Yeah.
He's still Lord.
And I think one of the things that can give us great peace in that is knowing exactly what you just said, because I think one of the dangerous things that we could do is to try and rescue someone out of a situation where
Yeah.
God is trying to do a work in them,
That is
where he's
true.
refining them, teaching them, shaping them in some way, maybe drawing them to himself if they don't know him yet. And we look at that and say, oh man, I'm so sorry you're walking through that pain. It could be that pain that God uses to draw them to himself for the first time or into a deeper relationship with them.
Good
So
word.
I don't know. For me, that's something that I'm like, all right, Lord, I want to help, but if you're doing something, don't let me get in the way of that.
Yeah. So true.
Well, there's a lot of information about this conversation that we've kind of had, and an article that is somewhat related to that. What we'll put on the show notes, so you can check that out. And it's talking about how we take some of the pain that is we've walked through and turn that into intercession, and how to pray for that. Well, I hope this conversation has been encouraging to you in some way, and I love the fact that we can be praying for each other, that we can know that God is sovereign over all these circumstances. And that gives me at least some peace to know that even if I say the wrong thing, God's got this. And if you want to jump in and comment on this in any way, you can do that on our Facebook page, Don and Steve Plus. You can look for that. I hope you'll connect with us on our website, donandsteveplus.com. More information about the show, ways that you can support that. And speaking of support, thanks to Raphael's Roastery and their support of Don and Steve Plus. They really do keep me going, and I need a little bit more of that today. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you'll like and subscribe on whatever platform you connected, and that you'll be our plus one next time.